So this particular topic, we are going to discuss about the Java collection APIs, Java collection tutorial. Basically, you need to understand what is the Java collections, right? And also we will discuss later for Java collection interview questions as an answer as well, correct? So Java provides different classes into this under the collection framework here, right? And we need to understand that what are these collection classes. So this particular image which you are going to see here, right? This is coming from the, you can say from JDK 1.4, where you have a list, queue, set, and also there is a one more family is missing here that is called as a map, correct? So this collection, right, having that, if you will see, this is orange boxes are nothing but comes as a interfaces, and these blue boxes are coming as a what we can say as a classes here. So these classes implementing these interfaces, right? So we already know, right, whatever class is implementing any particular interface, and that particular class need to either override all these methods or need to make it as an abstract class, but these classes are not abstract class here. So in that scenario, all the methods are available into a list interface, which will be, it will be available and applicable for all these classes for array list, linked list, vector, and the stack. If you are talking about queue, so either if you are talking about priority queue, DQ, or in that scenario also, this all these methods which is available into queue interface, which will be are implemented into a priority queue or maybe array queue like this, correct? So queue we are taking up little later here, but majorly we will discuss it about what is the set here, right? What is map, list, and you can say the particular different uses and what are the new advancement here. So if you are talking about hash set and linked hash set, these two classes implementing the set here, and this tree set is implementing a sorted tenant set and sorted set extending the set here, correct? So tree set is nothing but majorly we use for sorting purpose, correct? So there are different ways to sort any particular uh, frame, you can say the classes in the collection framework here, right? Either it is sorting elements into an array list, sorting element into a map, sorting element into a set. So there are different approaches, and how you will do the sorting for string objects and how you will do the sorting for particularly any custom objects. So right, so generally we use a comparator, and comparator 2 also we have a facility using the comparators, we can do the sorting using the stream API as well. So we will discuss little later for this sorting is, as of now we are not covering in this particular session. You can just look for other session which I have already uploaded here in our channel here. You can look for, and maybe you can find out the details into a description here, correct? So this is the particularly family here. So we will going to discuss about the array list and linked list, right? Then we will discuss about the set where we talk about the hash set, linked hash set, and tree set. And also we will discuss about the map where we will discuss about that hash set, oh sorry, hash map, hash table, and also we will discuss about the linked hash map. And there is a concurrent APIs which is available as a concurrent hash map here, correct? So let's move forward here. So collections, types of collections, right? Interface, class implementing, these things we already discussed that. Array list, right? How to create an array list, adding an elements, and how you can traverse that. So majorly you need to understand very basic thing is three operations. How you will add the element in any particular collection, how you will remove the element, and how you will traverse. So idea is whenever, let's say, then example is if you are storing any employee name, right? And you are, let's say, creating a list of employees, maybe set of employees, whatever you wanted to do. So in that scenario, what the major operation you do it? So maybe you will do first thing is you will add it, right? Or maybe you will remove it, or you will basically search in it, or you will traverse and you will print the information, right? These are the four major operations, right? Apart from that, there are some other operations also. If you wanted to find out the index of a particular object or any element, that is a different thing, but these are majorly four operations you need to deal with, right? Again, I'm just repeating here: add, remove, traverse, and what we can say the search, correct? This is is majorly you need to understand it, correct? For any collection, either you are talking about what we are saying is a list, or maybe it is a set, or maybe you are talking about any map here, correct? So also, we will discuss about the iterator. It is majorly we will use it for traversing, right? If you wanted to traverse that, mean if you wanted to go through the particular elements here, that is we use through a iterator here, right? So we will see the iterator concept here. We also see how you can use the stream API to process, or maybe you can say traverse into a list also, correct? So remove operation, these things we already discussed. In the set also, how to create, how to add traverse, and how to remove it, right? In the map also, how to create a map, adding elements to a map, traversing into a map here. Then later there are some advanced concept also we will going to discuss, something we called as a concurrent collection, and what are the essential classes with respect to concurrent collections. And this is much more important, right? As of now, which is basically as far as the interview point is concerned here, correct? And immutability and Java collection APIs, right? This is also another important topic, right? These little advanced topics are, right? And then we see how you can use the collection with the Stream APIs. So these three are little advanced concept, right? So we will discuss little later here, correct? So let's go and talk about and see into a what we can call as in Eclipse, right? So simple way, you will also learn the coding with me, and you can see how you can write the particularly a code in Eclipse here. So, and I can tell you that it is a very simple concept if you will really understand that what we can say, how to create. If you will understand the basic fundamental of a collection, right, you will easily, it's very simple way you can write and you can implement, right, without any hiccups, right? And there is a no such mind you need to use it, right? There is no such problem you will face it, and it will be very straightforward. So let's talk about list operations, right? So list operations are majorly what we can say we use for how to process the list and how to create the list here. Okay. So I'm just creating a class here, right? And straightforward, I am just generating a public static void main. Very simple way, I will just write it here, right? So this way we will just write and say system dot out dot println hello world, right? Let's say just wanted to make sure that things are working very fine here, right? Welcome in correction tutorial. So just writing it. Now here you will see this is working fine here. Now we will start writing it. So as I already told you, so you need to understand all these collections classes is come under your collection framework here. So you can write like this. So here we also you need to understand the concept of a generic. Generic we use for type safety purpose so that there will not be any such problem, right? When we are processing at the runtime here, right? So we are creating that list, it is a type of string. So we are restricting this list, which will store only a string type of elements. There will not be any other type of elements. We cannot store it, right? So new array list, right? So when we are talking about new array list here, in that scenario, uh, right, we are instantiating. So you can also write like this. This will be also type of string here, correct? So you need to import it, right? So java.util.arraylist here. Here is also it will come. You need to import it, right? So like this, or you can say java.util.star. So you have created a simple, what we can say as a simple array list, correct? You can also write, so you can store your class type into an interface type also, like this also you can write it. Both the ways are fine, correct? Now Simply you can just write it name, right? So one more thing you need to understand, this array list implementation is backed by this arrays, right? So you can come and see the documentation also if you wanted to any point of time. If you wanted to see the documentation, you can see the resizable array implementation of the list interface and implement all optional list operations, correct? Which is available in your list, correct? So majorly when we use the array here, the thing is that array always have a fixed size, and if you are try to add and things like that, it will not be possible. So you have the facility here, you don't need to bother about any particular time if it is get exhausted here, correct? So there is a, it will be automatically resizable, so it is a basically resizable, or it will be automatically getting resized here, so you don't need to put any effort and there will not be any chances of exception also, right? So this is another advantage of your collections here, right? Now, it is basically array list is backed by the, and implementation is backed by the singly, you can say, list here. The list, what we can say, the data structure which you know it, correct? Linked list is uh, particularly backed by your doubly linked list, right? So that is you need to understand where it is a node based kind of an implementation which it is provided in the linked list class in the Java here. So you will use that array dot add here, right? So when we are talking about, either you can use a none, here we can say, let's say gems, right? So I am giving a advice, you can say differences also, right? Names dot, right, add two elements we are adding it here, right? Which you can just take it up as a, what we are saying, James and Roy. Okay, like this. Now, if you wanted to print, so first thing is that as many as element you can add it here, right? Now, if you wanted to print something, then what you will say? So there are a multiple ways you can use and traverse it. So as of now, the first operation which we have discussed, we have completed for adding the elements. You can also add a list inside the list as well. Okay. Here we are just processing as a iterator, right? Yeah. It will be also type of your, what type of it is listed is, right? Like this. So what you will say, names dot iterator. It will return the iterator, which will be type of what we can call as string. You need to import it, correct? So then you can use a while loop here, correct? And using the while loop, what you will do here, you will do is itr dot has next. This has next will give a return true in case if there is a more elements, right? So this is a while condition we are using. If there are more elements, it will be giving the elements to you here, right? So then what we are doing here, system println, right? Here, like this, what you will say, itr dot next. So you can store into a one variable also, and then you can print it. I am just directly printing it here. Now let's run it, correct? If you will understand properly these operations, you will see Roy and James got printed here, right? So these two elements, it is an unordered list here, right? So we are not maintaining any order, right? Whatever, it is not like that, whatever we are just putting it here in the same way, we are just driving it, correct? So as of now, we have created an array list here. If you wanted to remove it, you can also remove, right? Dot remove. So you can remove with the help of index, you can remove the object also, right? So you can write it like this. So it will also, as we know that it is backed by the array implementation, it will, the index will start from the 0 here, right? Now you can just see, let's see, we, right? Run as a Java application, right? So now you see the first index, it's a James has been removed, right? So only Roy is getting printed here. Now, sorry, I will put it here. Now you will see, correct? So you will see Roy. Now you can also do like this, correct? So in that scenario, right, there is a internal operation will be getting processed. It will try to match for each and every object, right? Inside it, is this object is matching or not, right? Once this object is got matched, at that time only it will remove it, right? So this is basically a very important. If you are using a custom operations or custom objects, then you need to understand that how your equals method is will work here, and how internally it will getting compared, right? So this is little you can check and try with some custom objects as well, right? So this way you can use, so add, remove, you can also find out, right? There are some particular what we can call as, right, here. So if condition, we can use it, right? So there is a, also you can find out the size, right? So you can take it as a system dot out println, right? You can also say there is a size. So size of the list. So this size of the list is something you can say how many elements are there, right? In arrays, we use that arrays dot length here, right? But here we talk about something we can call as size here. You can also use the contains here. So if name, that is, I'm trying to tell you that the frequent operation which you guys use it, right? So if that name contains Roy, correct? Then it will print, yes, Roy is working into a, right? Okay, like this. So let's run it now, correct? So this way, if I will run as a Java application. So Roy is working in the firm, right? So means this Roy exists into this list here. The size of this list is 2 because is a 2 elements are exist here. Like this, there are many such other methods are also there here, correct? Now, we will talk about, so this is a resizable array implementation of the list interface, implements all optional list operations and permit all elements, including null. So it is also basically permits the null, right? You also have some methods like is empty, is this is empty or not, right? You can have a get first, get last, remove last. These kind of methods are also there, right? Which you can use it, right? So each array list has a capacity. The capacity is the size of the array used to store the element into a list here, right? So it's a very initial whenever we start it, right? It always at least as large as the list size here, correct? And internally when there is a particularly certain time when it will be a resize that list here, correct? So whenever this list grows here, it will be automatically getting a resized here. Now, here we are talking about linked list here, right? So all the operations are remain same. You don't need to be do anything, right? So when we are talking about linked list here, so you can also learn that is a linked list. In this linked list, everything will be a remain same, right? Only the internal implementation is getting changed. The internal implementation of a linked list is a doubly linked list. It is a working on the node based concept here. So you will have a doubly linked list where you have a two pointers, right? Where you have a, you can say start node, or you can say previous and the next node, kind of like this. So when to use an array list and when to use a linked list in that scenario, when you have a search operation, because we use the random access concept into a array list, that's why array list is faster into a search. But if you are talking about insert and delete operations, in that scenario, linked list will be a much more faster here. Correct? Both are not a thread safe collections. Correct? So there will be a challenge when you are working with the any kind of a multi-threading environment here. Correct? So this is all about the list here. You guys can go much more deep inside in it, right? There are related to concurrencies. One more way I can tell you how to process the list here, right? You can also use the for each, right? And you can use a dot for each, correct? So in for each, generally we use the lambda expression. Here what we will do, let's say name. Here you can say system dot out dot println, right? So what is happening here? And we will print as a name. And you can also say, right, names. You can also print in such a way. So there is a nobody is using a iterator as of now. The idea is I'm trying to tell you, right? You can also use for each, right? And you will write something like that. This is using the method reference. Okay. So you will see this is the way you can use it. This actually there is a one element only, right? So that's why using a stream also. And if you wanted to create an stream, the same thing will be applicable for array list, same thing will be applicable for a linked list. Now, vector, I'm just trying to tell you that you can also say here as a vector here, right? And here is also you can use a vector, right? So vector is a synchronized one, right? And but nobody is using a vector. I can tell you one thing. Correct. So if you will not focus, but you just need to have some idea about the vectors, why the vectors were available, right? So it is a synchronized one, means in the thread safety purpose, we used to have this particular class and we generally use the vector at the time here. Correct. But from the JDK 1.5, we had that many such new concurrent collections and APIs. So we don't go and use that vectors and these APIs here. You can also have a stack, right? So last in first out, in that scenario you can use it. So this stack you can use it, that is also one of the type of you can say data structure, stack and queue, right? First in first out, and stack is last in first out, right? So that is also you can say the operations will be remain same. Stack, I hope, right? You just need to change that one of that what we can call as run as a Java application, right? So this way you can understand, right? We have covered all these four classes here, just a simple code, correct? In the same way, you can also implement the set and you can use that some other operations as well. Let's go and discuss something all about your uh, set operations. So set, we use it especially for unique elements where you wanted to maintain the unique elements here, right? So that is the purpose for what we can call as for set. So in the set, again, we are writing system. All these operations which are available in your list, the same operations are available into a set also, correct? So you don't need to be stretch your head. What is the basically how to add the elements? Only just simple different operations are available for a map only. Nothing, no other operations is changed into a majorly, or most of the operations are 80-90% are methods are remain same. Okay. So here you can say value, value, correct. So now this time we will basically also use that custom objects. So I will create a class, something we can say customer, right? And if you wanted to maintain the list of customer here, this class here we are going to use, and I will create a constructor, right? I will say private int, you can say string name, right? And here I will say private string email, correct? And I will initialize through a constructor, right? And in this constructor, right, here I will pass string name. Here I will say string, what you can say email, and I will initialize it. This dot name, name. That is the basically purpose of the constructor. Email is equal to email, right? So we initialized here. Now what we are doing it, we can also have a data setters also. So if you wanted to select this, right click, you can go source, generate the segregators. So we will generate the segregators. So as we are initializing through a, you can say constructor, I will remove these setters here, delete, and I don't want it to set any value, right? So once I will create, only that time only these values will be getting set it here, so that we are maintaining the state of this particular objects here, right? So, and this is a one of the basic steps we follow to create a immutable objects as well. Okay. So immutability will also going to discuss, right, later into this session here, right? So let's say set, again we will start from string first. Here you can use it, something you can say names. Here you can say new has set. So one thing you need to understand, has set is internally using a hash map concept here. And this is completely built on top of your hashing mechanism here, right? So we calculate the hash, and based on that, we insert and maintain or that element here. Okay. So you need to understand how hash set works. So for that, you also need to understand that how hash map works, right? So we will discuss about it. Now, as of now, we have just created it here, right? And if you will just wanted to see the implementation, I will say Control T. And you can also see, right, these classes you can see, right? And you can see the implementation also. So in the implementation, if you will come up here, right, people who are just new, they can just ignore it, right? You will see, right, this map. This map is nothing but it is internally using the hash map concept here, correct? To store, but here the keys and value will be both are remain same, right? So you see, whenever we initializing a asset, it is internally using the hash map here, right? So let's close it, right? Now let's add the elements here. Names dot add, right? Here we talk about again James, and here we will say James names dot add, correct? You can also add set into a set. You can also add a specific. So if you have another set, you can use a add all method. You can use it, and you can also add that set also. correct? Here is also what we can say the Roy. But here we cannot have that duplicate elements here, correct? And we will see how it is working here. So everything will remain same. All the iterator and all these things will remain same. So I will just copy it everything from here, right? So you don't need to be worried about it. What will be the set operation? How I will write this? Once you will do for list, you will be able to do for linked list. You will be able to do for set. You will be able to do for linked set also, and you will be able to do for tree set as well. Correct. So I didn't change it anything. Do you see any compilation error? The answer is no. Correct. So I'm just copy pasted here the iterator and everything, right? Run as a Java application, right? You see it is working fine. Correct. So contains, size, you can say add, remove, add all these same operations are available. Here is also you can use the for each and you can do it. Simple and easy, right? Correct. You just need to understand that if you wanted to store unique values, right? At this moment, that is the purpose of your set here. Correct. So again, what we are doing it, I will try to add one more elements which is same. Let's see what is happening here. Java application. Correct. So you will see the list of the size here, correct, is still two, even though. So it is not adding any other new particularly element here. Correct. Now, if you wanted to add, create one more set here, I will create one more set if you wanted to store a custom objects, right? So set in that scenario, what we will say, right? This is a customer type, custom storing the customer objects, right? Customer set, correct? So is this hash set is a thread safe? The answer is no, correct? So if whenever you are using multi-threaded environment, there will be always challenge for a concurrent modification exception, and it is not a fail safe also. Correct. So there are some methods earlier to making and using the thread safety. There is a something we call as a synchronized set. But later when we got that concurrent APIs, we don't use these methods from synchronized this, synchronized map or synchronized set also. So what we are saying here, sorry. So here, if you will is trying to store these new asset into this kind of object, it will not, you will not be able to do it, right? Because the type of here we are using a customer and here we are trying to create it is for a string, correct? So there will be some questions like that. Also, you need to be ready for that, right? Why it is you are getting as a concurrent modification exceptions. So as we already know, right, these methods are into, it's not a synchronized methods into a hash set. And we have seen the code. If you wanted to again see and watch this code here, you can go and go little deep inside in it for a hash set code, how Java has written it. Okay. And you can find out there is a no such synchronization is there here. Correct. So the everything will be a remain same to creating a iterator and you can just try and print it. But before that, we need to add it also. So in this set, what we are saying is I'm just adding one more element here, dot add. So can we have a new customer? Here you can say the name is for Joy. Here you can say the email, right? joy@gmail.com, correct? In the same way, you can also add one more element here, right? Here you can say Robin, and let's say Robin. Now You need to check, is this Robin is available or not? Now you can check that how you wanted to get and process it, right? So cust iterator list. Let's see if I will take it as a correct. So there is a one scenario. If this Robin is working into this particular company or in the available or customer set or not. So one thing you can do with the processing and you can check it for each and every element here. So if you try to print, it will print the object here, right? Actually, so now you can print a get. Sorry. So it is, sorry, it should be a customer type, correct? And here it is also we are trying to implement here customer, right? So you can say dot get oh still you can just do like that. Here what you can say now every element it will be a it, okay, dot get name plus right. So get name only, let's say. Okay. Another thing is that you won't be able to backtrack into this iterator here. Correct. That is also you need to understand. So this way you will see, correct. So customer name here you can also say get email, correct. So every time you need to iterate and check it, that kind of a situation, or you can logic, you can write it. But if you are using a stream APIs, so you can use a create what we can call as dot stream dot right filter, right? And here you can put that logic here, right? Is this particularly a name is available or not here? Correct. So that's the way you guys can use if to finding out any simple operations, it will be much more simpler. Just 1 minute, guys. So here you can use that what we can call as, let's say, cust, right? And this is an object here. So customer. And here you can say customer dot get name dot equals. And here you can give the name. Something we can say Roy, right? You can say dot. Uh, let's say is for count, right? So if the count is getting, you can say greater than 1, you can find it out rather than to write and put it everything it here, correct? So this is one of the way you can use it and you can do it, right? So like this, you can use a linked hash map also, right? And you can use a tree map. So in the hash map here, you, sorry, linked hash chat here, correct? You can use it and you can create it, right? The process will remain same. Operations will also be remain same it here, right? So that you can understand and you can use it here. So to sort it, we have already created a one of the method. If you wanted to sort or if you wanted to use any duplicacy check using the hash code and equals method, so that is you can check it, and that is one of that most important question. If you are using a custom object, and in that scenario, how you will check the equality and how you will ensure if these values are equals for joy and this email, right? In that scenario, you won't be able to add any new element into a particular layer set here. correct? So this is very important, right? So we will say and we will discuss about the map now. Correct. Doubt. One minute, guys. So you can just say, so map family, we use it especially for when we are talking about storing a key values pairs, right? So for key value pair, we use the map family, right? Here we can just use for demo for map, right? So key value pair is a simple example. I can tell you that let's say if you wanted to maintain all the list of employees into a particularly a companies. So I wanted to prepare a complete data set where you have something we can call as the company names. And for each company, you are maintaining the list of employees. Correct. And then if you wanted to find out exactly, is this employee is working into a Wipro or is this employee is working into Morgan Stanley? Yes or no? Correct. So in that scenario, you will use a kind of a map, right? So we also have a dictionaries, but generally nobody is using a dictionaries. That is a different purpose, right? So we use the map family for this particular purpose here. And this is one of the particularly an employee. Let's say customer has an accounts. So multiple account can have into a banking applications, right? So in that scenario, you will have a list of accounts. So you will maintain the list of accounts, right? And for a customer also will be available separately. So if you have a 5,000 customer and each customer has a more than 5, 6 accounts. So in that scenario, how you will store this kind of a data, right? So for that purpose, we use the map, right? So here we will use a map. Here you can say what is the type of key and what is the type of value. So the key is also here. We are taking as we are using a generics here, right? It's an string key. And here it is you will have a key and value, correct? So this key and value both are like this. So let's say for here we are talking about company, right? So as of now, I will take a for considering one employee for a per company, right? So new hash map. So hash map is working into a hashing concept, right? It is maintaining internally that bucket, right? So it is calculating hash for every object, and based on that hash, it is allocating that object into that bucket here. So, right? So bucket is nothing but it is internally maintaining that linked list also, right? So whenever we are storing, calculating a hash and adding that value into that list. Something like that, you need to understand it. String, string. So everybody is saying what is a bucket. You also need to understand what is a bucket here. Then there is also a concept here for load factor and initial capacity. Load factor, you can also specify these two parameters into a load factor is generally used for when you want to resize the hash map. So by default, it is a 0.75. Whenever it is full 75%, it is getting resized here, correct? And how much you wanted to resize, so that is the point is when you wanted to resize it, right? Initial capacity, you can take it for 16 elements, right? Maybe it's for 50, maybe 100. So what is the best combination for initial capacity and the load factor? So by default it is a 16 and 0.75. So load factor and initial capacity is one of the very important concept to learn and to understand, and it is also very important for your interview point of questions as well, correct? So as of now, I will not be making it so too complex here, right? But I will just try to make it because I am keeping this tutorial is very simple as from the beginners level. Later in this session here also, we will discuss some advanced concept as well. So put. So let's say if you are just making it something we can call as Wipro, and here gems. Here, two elements. So we have, there is a put operation, right? So put, correct. Here, what we can call as something cognizant. And here, y. Correct. The process will remain same. Only one additional steps you need to add it here. This steps is something we can say you need to create a key set first. Dot key set. This key set will give all the list of key. So basically not, it's a set of key. And this key is the type of string. So it will be nothing but your string. And here you can say key set, right? So in that scenario, when you have the key set, in this key set, what you can say, now you can find out is this company is there or not in this particular set here, correct? So if the company is available into this set, so you can say, yeah, this company is available here, correct? So you can also check that in that scenario, is this company is exist into a, let's say in India or Mumbai or whatever, you can check it, right? If I will say if it is not available, you can throw a customized exception, right? So contains, right? So like this, you can have a one more. This is a condition I have added, but I'm just trying to tell you this is a one of the questions you will see into your hacker rank as well. It is a similar kind of a question where you are throwing a custom exceptions and you are processing a things like that. Correct? So I'm just trying to withdraw. And you can do something, you can return or maybe do something, right? So just I'm checking here. If you wanted to check, is this key is available into a not, right? This is a one of that scenario. Now, if you wanted to get, so generally there is a also another method is a get here. So what you are doing it, right? Is this value is associated with this key, correct? So every value it is, if you are adding another value for the same key, it will be override here. So if I will again add that companies put Wipro and I will say, let's say Ronnie here. So this Ronnie will override to the James. Okay. So that is you need to understand. So what is happening here? Now in that scenario, we use system dot out dot println, and the method something which we are using and we are calling is companies dot get. So in that scenario, you need to pass the key. So this key is Wipro. So this is a simple operation. Here you need to use a get and put, right? Rather than add and other things like this. So now let's run it. Simple code, 4-line code here. There is nothing to do with what we can say uh, any other methods and all these things we will see. So demo for map and James. For this, James is associated with this. This is a value for this key here. If I will say Ronnie, or if I will add one more value here for same Wipro, right? Correct. Now what will happen here? You will see a Ronnie. It is overriding this value here. Now, how you will maintain, there is a list. So in that scenario, the second parameter, if you wanted to have a multiple values for the same key, then you can use that list here as a second object here. Okay. So in that scenario, if you wanted to have a multiple values, right, for same key, then the map will be like string, and the list, or maybe it could be a set. And the primary object is also could be a custom objects like a customer or any other customer objects also. Then it will be a much more complex. Okay. So as of now, we are not going to make it much more complex here. Right? You guys can just try to use and try some of the advanced level of questions on your hacker ranks if you really know the some basics and fundamentals. Here, if you wanted to again use that iterator, right? And iterator, I will just say here string, right? So every time we will get the key and associated value, we will try to fetch it, right? Key ITR here. So we have a key set. From the key set, we will check it. Dot ITR. So you can also process the different ways for through a stream APIs. As of now, we are not covering a stream APIs from the basics. So you guys can see much more detailed into an stream APIs also, right? So again, while and we can have a key iterator. From this key iterator, right? And again, we'll check, do we have this next element into this, right? If the iterator, yes, you can just say, right? Because it's just a condition. So what we will say, system dot out dot return. Correct? And you can print that particularly a key here. So you can do one thing, let's say initialize that string. Don't initialize any value for best practices into inside the loop, right? So what you will say, key is equal to, and you can say next. Okay. Now here we will say key, right? Plus key plus here you will say value plus what you will say. So how you will get the value? So again, you need to come to this map here, right? So in this map, what we are saying here, we are coming up here dot get, right? And when you will say, so we will pass the key. So we will print the key and then we will print the value as well. So like this, you can iterate it, right? So the key Wipro value Ronnie, key cognizant value Roy. This way you can print it, and then also you can find out. Then you need to make one more while loop if you are using another list in case of if you have value is also kind of a list or any other collection. So you can have a collection inside the collection also, right? So like this will be a much more complex. You can also have a list of maps, so you will create a multiple maps and you can put it into one of the what we can call as into one of the map here. You can have a map of the map also. You can have a multiple maps and you can put as a value inside the map also. So the second parameter could be a string, could be a custom parameter, could be a list, could be a map. Then it will be a multiple ladder and it will be going to a much more complex. Correct. Here you can specify the load factor and the initial capacity. I guess 16 and 0.75, something like that. In okay, so 60 initial capacity, but load factor also you can specify, right? It's the initial capacity. What is the initial capacity? And the default load factor, you can see it's a 0.75 here. So the idea is if you wanted to store 1,000 numbers or 2,000 records, so you need to think like this, is this 16 will be really helpful or not? Or is do you need to create a map into some other ways? and the initial capacity should be something different here. This concurrent is map here is also not a thread safe, right? Earlier we have a method something called as a synchronized map, but that is also not a making all these methods to synchronize. It is not going to help, right? So you can also create a linked hash map here, right? And you can import. Everything will be remain same. All the operation will remain same, correct? Now you have a Java collections, right? Now everything is working properly. Here you can also, if you wanted to have a sorted map, something which can use for sorting purpose. So by default, it will be sort based on the keys, right? So it is saying there is a no such parameters. So like this, you can also pass the comparator here. If you will write a comparator, if you have a custom objects for your initial keys, right? So then in that scenario, you need to write a comparator and pass it here, which is inside that tree map argument, constructor argument here. Like that, you can do it. So this way you can use, there is also all these methods are available. Key set, there are many other methods are also there. So also you will have another class, something we called as a hash table, right? That is the synchronized one, but we also have a concurrent hash map. So for JDK 1.5, we got something we can call as a concurrent hash map, right? So this is much more beneficial and it is a thread safe collections here, correct? So you can use, it is available into a java.concurrent API. The processing will remain same, but internally it is working on the locking mechanism, right? Where you will have a read thread lock, and there are some other, you can say, facilities which we use for locking. So entire map will not be getting logged, which we are using with the collection.synchronize map. We can also, if we have a, let's say here, simply hash map, right? But if you just wanted to have a, you can also say enter sync, right? And I can say collections dot. You see synchronized map. So this synchronized map will is just a wrapper, right, over this map here, right? There is a one design pattern is also it is using it here, right? When we are implementing for synchronized map, you can find it out, right? Or maybe you can give me some details, what type of when we are using a synchronized map, how it works here. So this will make that entire hash map will as a slow, right? So there will be a performance issues because of this entire map is getting locked here, correct? So rather than what we are doing it, we will create or lock only that particular bucket rather than to lock that entire hash map, right? So that's why we are just coming up with the concept of a, what we can say, concurrent hash map, correct? So that is also you need to understand what is the difference between concurrent hash map and the map here, right? Again, string, comma, string, right? All other classes will remain same, right? So whatever processing you wanted to do with this, but nowadays people and everybody is using the concurrent hash map, correct? So this is also you need to understand what is the concurrent hash map, what is the hash map. Sorting we are don't not covering into too much deep here. If you guys wanted to cover, you can check for some other videos on our channel here. Correct. So till now we have covered that some of the fundamentals of what we can say for a collection APIs in the inside the collection framework, right? And try to make it is a much more simpler. Correct. Now we will discuss new topic is which is we are talking about that concurrent APIs.